episode 27 of the Closed Book Podcast. And this episode in particular was not planned. I had another episode idea planned for you guys, but this one this one just came to mind. I was in California for the past Sunday, 3 nights, 3 days at the A-List conference. So that's why I haven't been uploading podcast episodes. I haven't been posting motivational reels on my page. I just posted on my main account at @cnettles_. So go check out my post. But as far as like motivational reels and podcast episodes, I haven't been doing it because I've been focused on this conference, getting my stuff prepared and everything like that. But I want to talk about being uncomfortable, which is something that like I never thought about growing up. Growing up as a kid, of course, I was like very stagnant. I had like this. I always did the same stuff. School and sports. That's all I did. And once I stopped playing sports after high school, I realized that I have to sort of find a different avenue, different path in life. Because I had to come to the realization that sports may not work out. And luckily for me, by the grace of God, I was able to make straight A's all throughout high school, and I was able to get into college. And this is pretty much this episode's my story. So I get to college. Now let's backtrack before that, right? I was a senior at West Mecklenburg High School, and initially I wanted to go to Winston-Salem State University for marketing because I was just always impressed. I always had, an itch for like doing marketing, promoting stuff. And it's some of the stuff and kind of like what I do today. But this is where, my life did like a little 180, 360, whatever you want to call it. So I wanted to go to Winston-Salem State University for marketing. And I didn't, I applied, I got in. That was like my number one school. But I also applied to North Carolina Central University. North Carolina Central University was not, I don't think it was in my top three or whatever. It wasn't even my top three. I don't think so. And I remember my advisor, she's just like, oh yeah, NCCU has this hospitality thing going on or whatever. And to me, I'm like, I took a hospitality class when I was like in 10th grade. And at the time, I was just doing it for, a grade. Like, I really didn't even care too much about it. And so I remember I was talking to the lady from North Carolina Central about hospitality. And I think she just kind of convinced me to, her and my advisor kind of convinced me to try it. Just give hospitality a try. So let's fast forward. I graduated high school. 2 months later, boom, I'm off to North Carolina Central University. The lady that I was talking to on the phone ended up being my teacher and my advisor, my hospitality advisor there. And looking at the class, I'm like, this class is easy, but it's a lot of cool stuff that goes on in hospitality. I went to my first conference, and the first conference I went to was a national conference. So it was a bunch of schools there and everything like that. And I was nervous. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. Most of these people were older than me, like in their 20s and stuff like that. And they already been to multiple conferences before. And this is my first one. And I kind of took advice from all those older people, not older people, but like the 20-year-olds, college students, and just kind of trying to copy their movements and stuff like that and how they talked and things like that. And I remember they were preparing us at Central because I was going with my NSMH chapter at North Carolina Central. If you're an NCCU student, you can join. And I remember that like we did like dinner, dining etiquette, um, everything like that. It was a big deal. First conference went great. It went amazing. And I remember um I wanna say I wanna say I remember the Hyatt company came to my college. They spoke to my class. I'm asking questions. I'm talking to the people from Hyatt. And so I remember on campus my freshman year, all I did was like work as an esports assistant, referee, just chill and go to class. But I remember one day I'm working out in the gym and my advisor calls me. She's like, and I'm walking back to my room. I'm sweaty. Um, she was like, the people at Hyatt want to meet you. They want to interview you right now. And I'm like, right now? And she's like, yeah, right now. And I'm freaking out because I'm sweaty. I don't have like I didn't iron no suit. Thank you. I didn't iron no suit. So I just put on some jeans, polo, and some my Sperry's, and I was still sweaty. And I go there to interview at my the old school of business building. I'm sweating and everything, and this lady just has this big smile on her face, and um, we were talking, and she was like, "Pick three locations you want to go." I think I chose um, North Carolina, California, and some other location on the West Coast. I think Texas. I don't know, right? Remind you, um, at the national conference, right? I talked to this Hyatt company, and shout out to Hyatt. Um, they were like, "Hey, we're glad you're interested, but you have to be a sophomore." Like I said, I was a freshman at the time, and so I did an interview with the lady at the Hyatt. Just that was a little quick backstory. I did an interview with the lady at the Hyatt, and she's like, "Okay, we're gonna try our hardest to get you there." Boom. Apparently, they went to corporate, fought for me, whatever, which I'm grateful for. Boom, I get the email like, "Oh, you can come to the Hyatt uh, in Chapel Hill, North Carolina," and I was excited about that because I felt like I was too young, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to Raleigh, Chapel Hill. Some things ended up not working out with that location, so we go to Eastern Regional Conference, which is like a conference on the eastern map of the world, I guess, for NSMH, and it was at Virginia State University. And I remember, doing my thing. And now I'm like, oh, my high internship fell through. Now I got to try extra hard to get another internship at a different company or something like that. And a lady from Hyatt was just like, "Oh, hey, Christian, yeah, we see that, yeah, but what happened?" And I told her what happened, and she's like, "Okay, no problem. Here's a list of states that you choose from, and just pick a state." And I chose Maryland for food and beverage and internship or something like that. I chose the Hyatt in Maryland, and she said, "Okay, da 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 da. People going to contact you." And I ended up actually going to Maryland with like two people from my school that I knew. I think they started way earlier than I did at the internship, but we'll get to that later. And so I was like, all right, bet, we're cool. So, this whole conference, I'm like, okay, I finally got my internship. So I do my paperwork. Excuse me, I do my paperwork, and I'm going through the whole school year. School year. Funny story. The day before I left, I was with my girlfriend, and I told her, she already knew I was leaving to go to Maryland for 2 months. Um, yeah, and it was weird. Leaving. It was sad. It was real sad leaving my parents, my family. Everything like that. It was sad. But I just remember my mom dropped me off at the airport, and she's like, "I see you soon." 2 months, man. 18, moving out there. I had family in a different part of Maryland, so but they weren't really that close by, I don't think. And I remember just moving there. Um, I turned 19 up there. I worked up there. I was actually a recreations manager. And as a recreation manager, you do like the activities, supervise the lifeguards. I was 18, and most of the kids I was supervising were like high schoolers. They were like closer to my age range. And I was scared to be a manager because like, what does this 18-year-old kid know about being a manager? Which was true. I knew nothing about being a manager. But it was some of the best and challenging moments of my life before I turned 19 years old. Um, I just seeing my family through the screen 24/7, my girlfriend through the screen, my friends through the screen 24/7. It's it was definitely a challenge for sure. It was a tough challenge, but I knew I had to be uncomfortable in order to grow. And at first it was scary. Like on that plane, there on the plane to Maryland, like I was just so super. I was like super scared, super tired because it was something different. I'm 18, moving away from home to work. That young was it's definitely nerve wracking, but it made me better. It made me more, I guess, confident in my networking skills. It made me more aware that just because I was 18 at the time, I'm not even in my 20s yet. It's like I can do it. Fast forward, I didn't get housing for my school, and which is okay. God blessed me in many ways by just staying here back at the crib chilling. And that was also something I had to adjust to as well. It felt like 2020 all over again. Online school was just it was it was it was it was weird, but I know it was something that I had to go through because as a young man in general, it's just you made mistakes, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain, and now that you didn't, you're out of housing. That's pretty much what it was. But I took, but with being uncomfortable, I took a lot of risk. Starting video podcasting, my motivational reels. I was really nervous about that because I'm like, what if people don't understand what I'm saying, or what if people don't like what I'm saying? Then I realized like you don't have to like it, but I'm gonna try my hardest to speak the truth. I remember, like, I just remember growing up, always being afraid of what people had to say about me, and it's like, bro, like, you know, get over yourself. Like, it's more important things in society to worry about than someone else's opinion. Am I right? But yeah, staying at home, for this year, it's tough, but it's something that I've done it. It was all on me, and as a young man, especially as a young black man, I have to take accountability for my actions, and it's something that I'm living with now. But it's not the end. It's not the end all be all. It was a learning experience as well. Um, Something that just taught me how to be more responsible. But back on the Cali trip, like, I I went to California by myself. No advisor from my school was there. No other student from my school was there that came with me, and it definitely it definitely it didn't hurt, but it was like, okay, I have to. I felt pressured to represent my school by myself. I had to put on a good. I had to put on a good impression for North Carolina Central University. I was one of the youngest to attend that conference, 19, and I made a lot of connections, email back and forth with CEOs and executives of companies. It's been real good, and what I learned is it's just like those CEOs are like they're normal people. Those millionaires, almost billionaires, they're normal people. They're just like me and you. They just have probably way more money, but they're really just like me and you. They talk just like us, you know. They eat just like us, you know. And I realized that it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And that's with everything. I mean, hey, you have to know a lot of stuff, but it's pretty much about who you know. And when I get older, I want to be that guy that person's like, I know Christian Elders, you know. But that was another thing that was uncomfortable for me, just being at a conference by myself across in a whole different coast, 3 hour time zone difference, catching flights with layovers and stuff. That was like something I never done before, and I was very uncomfortable doing that. But I knew like in order for me to gain more life experience, I had to do these things to grow. I'm not a I'm not a huge, you know, I don't know, bro. It's tough when I think about it, but yeah, it's all for good. It's all gonna be for a good cause. Um, you know, my parents are proud of me, and I'm proud of myself, and that's all that really matters. But being uncomfortable is important for like your life. Um, and I'm grateful that I'm learning this at a very, very young age. That you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's a true statement. I'm not used to traveling by myself, going to conferences and getting paid for it. Like I'm not used to that. I'm used to every time I go out of state, um, it's usually with my family, and for these last two times I traveled out of state, it's been by myself, and honestly, I like it. The plane rides are like once you're like in the air and you're like this, it's so relaxing. It's so like soothing. I don't know. I put on my headphones and I either watch Netflix or go to sleep and listen to like jazz music or some chill music or something like that. Like it's not like it's weird. It's weird, but it's a good weird though. It's a good weird. And what I want to say to you guys is you're never too young, right? Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And maybe when you're uncomfortable, you may have different opportunities open up for you. Um, I also thought a lot about this as well. Um, Not many kids I know my age are doing what I do, like going to multiple conferences, doing motivational reels, doing the podcast, having a job, a college students. That's five different things in one. Not saying like I'm unique or anything because you know kids my age are doing way more than I'm doing right now, making way more money. But I feel like I'm setting myself up on the path to success. And when you're working on being uncomfortable, a lot of things a lot of things do happen, um, setbacks or just random events or tragedy. I remember 2 days before my birthday. My birthday was June 16th, 2023. And I remember 2 days before that, June 14th, 2023, high school teammate of mine, um, Paul, Paul Tate, um, he, he passed away. Um, and that was, that was, that was uncomfortable for me because I literally was just talking to someone about him. Cause I see what he was posting on Instagram. Like the story is, I was on my internship at the Hyatt, and I was talking to one of the lifeguards, and we were just talking about people. I'm like, yeah, it's this guy named Paul. He he's a man of God, and he's making these right decisions. And I was just telling her, like, he's really great at basketball, because she was talking about sports. And And I remember she was like, "Oh, like, what was your favorite sport or something like that?" I was like, basketball and baseball, but mainly baseball." And I was like, basketball. It was this guy that, I was telling her about the people that I played with, and I told her about Paul. I said, Paul he's a great guy. Can shoot the ball better than like I better than he's the best shooter I've seen in person, at least. In person. Um, he was a great guy. Um, and that after we had that conversation about just stuff in general, I remember I was on Instagram, and my boy DJ, he said, "Dang P, you messed me up with this one with a heartbreak." And it was him, like, DJ, like his freshman year or something like that. And I'm seeing people like his name doesn't start with a P, his name doesn't start with a P. And it gets to Paul, and yeah. And then that rest of the shift, yeah, I was kind of stuck. Like, I didn't even feel like working, if that makes sense. Like, I looked on the news, and talking about it. Um, it just it just shocked me. Um, and to clarify, me and Paul weren't the closest at all, but every interaction I had with Paul it was always something positive. I think the first interaction I had, we were playing basketball. We were scrimmaging JV versus varsity. He was on varsity, and I've been talking back and forth and stuff like that. That was my first interaction. Second interaction, remember, we had a half day at school my sophomore year. He was a senior. We had a half day, and then he was in the JV locker room with us, just chilling, because we brought a couch in. We stole a couch from the varsity locker room, and he was just sitting on the couch, laid across, and I was on the other couch. We were just talking, chopping it up. Another interaction, we was at like an honor roll celebration, and it was him and the guy named Z. They were just, I'm name dropping like crazy, but you know, Paul just looked at me. He was like, "Yeah, you look like you one of them people to go like super far in life." And I remember that to this day. And the last interaction, Last time I seen Paul was I was working at Harris Teeter. I was like a week before I moved into college, and Paul was sitting there down at Harris Teeter, and I walked past him. I said, "Oh, what's up, Paul?" He's like, "Oh, what's up, Christian? What's up? How you doing, bro?" I was like, "I'm good." I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm getting the job at the I think it was at the Harris Teeter fuel station." He's like, "I was like, okay, bet." I told him my mom worked there. He's like, "Okay, okay, okay." And I remember at the time the Hawk Classic was coming up, and he's like, "Oh, you should play. You should play." I was like, "Nah, I can't. I gotta move in." He's like, "Ah, dang." He said, "Hopefully you can play at the next one." I said, "Yeah, hopefully." I remember that game. He dunked on someone, and he went crazy. And I think last time I DM'd him was about working at Harris Teeter, and I told him like, you work with my mom. I gave him my mom's name, and he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, she cool, bro, she cool." And like that was the last interaction that me and Paul ever had, and I have nothing bad to say about Paul. He was every time I talked to him, every time I seen him, like he was just he was always positive, and just to hear the news and see that it's crazy. But what makes me happy about it though is his little brother. Um, his little brother's living his legacy. His little brother's balling out right now, wearing his number. It's that's good. That's good. And in conclusion, like life would life would just throw things at you that are a little bit unexpected, and it makes you uncomfortable. But it's life; anything can happen, and things like this don't really happen. I remember in my internship when it, when I just remember like crying. I walked outside on the boardwalk at the resort I was staying at my internship, and just sitting outside. It was cold, windy. Had my hoodie on. I just cried looking at the stars, and it's a tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. Even the picture I posted on my Instagram of me and Paul, we were doing this little fundraiser thing, and he was right next to me. He was right next to me, and even then we were just talking, chopping it up. Like every time I seen him, like we locker room on the court, we always said something. Uh, every time I had a good game, he once in every once in every like chance he got, he always said something to me. It That's one of the most things that I had to learn how to get comfortable with was death as well, because it's going to happen. It may not be the way you like it, but it's going to happen. And when Paul died, it was really kind of an eye opener because he was going back to play college basketball, and he was such a positive guy, man. Um, but I had to pay tribute some point to Paul Paul Tate. Um, I remember I texted the guy who runs the Hawk Classic for our school, and I told him we have to pay some type of tribute to Paul. And yeah, shout out to his little brother for doing the right thing. To end this episode, uh, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you never know. This was episode 27 of the Closed Book Podcast. I'm your host, Christian Nettles. Hope you guys have a blessed and safe day. I'm out. Peace.